You know those spy movies where
Yeah.
everything like hinges on a fake passport or some forged identity?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, imagine that kind of intrigue, but forget the glamorous locations. Set it in a quiet district in Chhattisgarh,
Okay.
and the big prize wasn't state secrets, it was fake Indian voter ID cards.
Voter IDs, really?
Yeah. So that's where our deep dive takes us today into this, well, pretty surprising story of two Pakistani nationals caught in Raigarh. And our mission really is to get you totally up to speed on what happened, why it matters, and honestly, why it's just a little bit mind-bending.
It really is. The unexpectedness of it all is what grabs you first, I think.
Raigarh,
It's about, what, 230 kilometers east of Raipur?
roughly.
It's not exactly, the first place you'd think of for an international identity kind of issue.
Not at all.
And yet, you've got these two guys, Iftikhar Sheikh, 29, and Arnesh Sheikh, 25, both from Karachi.
Right.
And they find themselves in a real bind while staying with a local guy, Yaqub Sheikh, over in the Kotatari area.
So how did this whole thing actually, come apart? It started pretty ordinarily, didn't it? Like just a standard police check.
Yeah, pretty much. Think Monday morning, April 28th, this year, 2025. The local police in Raigarh are doing these verification drives,
Uh-huh.
specifically looking for any Pakistani nationals who might not have the correct paperwork. It's sort of routine, quiet police work.
The kind of stuff that happens all the time, usually unnoticed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just random chance either. The Jute Mill police, led by Prashant Rao, they were acting on specific intel.
Ah, okay. So they had a tip-off.
Seems like it. Intelligence pointed towards Yaqub Sheikh's house,
Yeah.
suggesting foreign nationals might be staying there without everything being quite above board.
Gotcha. And when the police showed up, at first it looked like maybe everything was okay.
Well, initially, Iftikhar and Arnesh showed their Pakistani passports. Seemed valid.
Okay.
And crucially, they also had long-term visas, LTVs.
Right, LTVs. Which aren't easy to get, I assume. They imply some level of official permission to be there long term.
Precisely. These aren't just tourist visas. They suggest a prior level of vetting and permission for extended residency. So, you'd think that might be the end of it. Documents check out.
But obviously not. This is where it gets weird.
This is where the plot, as they say, thickens considerably.
Mm-hmm.
Because having those apparently legit LTVs makes what they found next even more baffling.
Which was?
It wasn't the passports or the LTVs that caused the problem. It was the discovery of fake Indian voter ID cards.
Wow. Okay. Voter IDs. Let's just pause on that. In India, a voter ID isn't just for voting, is it?
Not at all. It's like a foundational identity document. You use it for opening bank accounts, getting SIM cards, proving who you are constantly.
So the fact that someone already holding a valid long-term visa would also get a fake local voter ID, that's the real head-scratcher here. What were they possibly thinking?
Exactly. What was the perceived benefit? It just raises so many questions about their motives.
So how did they allegedly get these fake IDs?
Well, according to the police reports, they apparently filled out Form Na Zo 6. That's the standard election commission form you use if you're registering to vote for the first time.
Okay, standard procedure, but with false info, presumably.
Right, false information. And here's the detail that feels almost like a comedy sketch.
Oh.
They apparently used Yaqub Sheikh's address, the address of the guy they were staying with, on the official voter registration forms.
No way. They used their host's address to get fake IDs.
That's what the reports suggest. The level of boldness or maybe just lack of subtlety, it's quite something.
It's like trying to blend in by wearing a neon sign, using the address of the person whose house the police might already be watching. This doesn't seem like the smartest move.
Not exactly discreet, no. And the paper trail of alleged fakery didn't stop with the voter IDs.
There's more.
Yeah, police also found fake bank passbooks.
Fake bank passbooks, too. So they weren't just trying to get on the voter list. They were trying to set up like a whole fake financial identity as well.
It seems that way. Forging official IDs is one thing, but then using those to actually open bank accounts. It really shows the audacity of the whole alleged operation.
And the timing. You mentioned the timing was critical.
Oh, yeah. The timing is almost unbelievable. This bust happened on April 28th, just the day before April 27th.
What happened then?
The Indian government had just announced it was suspending visa services for Pakistani nationals, including LTVs, those long-term visas these guys had.
Seriously? The day before?
Yes, apparently due to a recent terror attack in Pahalgam. So it's like they were trying to solidify this fake local identity just as their actual legitimate status was potentially coming under much more scrutiny. Talk about bad timing.
Or just a spectacular miscalculation on their part. Wow.
So let's talk legal consequences.
Yeah.
Iftikhar and Arnesh are facing quite a list of charges under the Indian Penal Code.
I bet. What specifically?
Okay, so there's Section 199, that's for making a false statement in an official declaration, basically lying on those voter forms. Then Section 200, which is about knowingly using that false declaration as if it were true.
So not just lying, but acting on the lie. Got it.
Exactly. Then there's Section 419, that's cheating by impersonation, pretending to be someone eligible to vote in India.
Okay.
And it gets more serious. Section 467, forgery of valuable documents. The voter IDs themselves count as that. Section 468, which is forgery specifically with the intent to cheat. And finally, Section 34, which basically means they're charged with acting together with a common intention to commit these offenses.
That's quite the list. It paints a picture of a very deliberate, multi-step plan to create false identities.
It does. And, the investigation is still ongoing, which means there's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Like what?
Well, who helped them? Did anyone assist in actually getting these fake documents? Was Iftikhar Sheikh, their host, involved somehow?
Right, given they used his address.
Exactly. And maybe the biggest question for the system itself, how did a fraudulent form 06 even get processed by the Election Commission to the point where fake IDs are generated?
That's a huge point. Does this expose some kind of weakness?
Yeah.
A loophole?
That's what investigators will be digging into. Because if you zoom out, think about the bigger picture for India's democracy.
Yeah.
Voter IDs are absolutely fundamental. They are, the bedrock of ensuring only eligible citizens vote in the world's largest democracy.
Yeah.
Any attempt to fraudulently get these cards undermines the entire system. It erodes trust.
Definitely. It makes you think about all the checks and balances that are supposed to be in place.
Right. And even though these guys had LTVs, which you'd assume involved some background checks already, they still allegedly tried this end run around the local ID system.
It suggests there might be, I don't know, cracks, gaps in how different systems talk to each other, maybe, or just vulnerabilities that need looking at.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
But what still feels so odd is just the seeming pointlessness of it for them.
You mean why do it if they already had LTVs?
Exactly. Yeah. LTVs allow long-term stay. So what extra benefit did they think these fake voter IDs gave them? Were they really planning to vote somehow? Was it about, I don't know, bragging rights? Trying to feel more local?
It's like you said before, it's like having a first-class ticket and trying to sneak into economy. The logic just doesn't track. It's an unnecessary risk for what seems like zero gain, especially given this serious legal trouble they're now in.
Huge risk.
Yeah.
And, there's the human angle, too. We know they're young men from Landi in Karachi, which is generally described as a working-class area.
Right.
We can't know their exact reasons, and we shouldn't jump to conclusions about, sinister motives without evidence. But it's possible they were simply looking for more stability, maybe better opportunities in India.
And saw these fake IDs as like an extra layer of security, especially with the visa rules just changing.
Perhaps. Maybe they were misled. Maybe they thought it was a necessary step to really settle in, could speak to a kind of desperation, or maybe just really bad advice from someone.
It's a good reminder that behind the headlines and the legal sections, there are individuals, Whatever drove them, their actions seem incredibly misguided.
Absolutely. And the ongoing investigation, hopefully, will shed more light on those motivations. They'll be looking hard for any middlemen, any potentially corrupt officials who might have helped make this happen.
And checking the Election Commission's processes, too, I assume.
Definitely. Trying to pinpoint any weaknesses that let these forms slip through. For now, though, Iftikhar and Arnesh are in custody, facing all those charges we listed.
It's a pretty stark warning, isn't it? Don't try to game the system when it comes to official ID. There are legal ways for a reason.
Exactly. Bypassing them just leads to serious trouble. This whole Raigarh incident, even though it happened in one specific place, really throws a spotlight on how important robust ID checks are at every single level.
And the need for constant vigilance, maybe. Evaluating these systems to make sure they're secure.
Constant evaluation, yes. Protecting against fraud, maintaining the integrity of how we run things civically and administratively.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, you're left with this kind of baffling puzzle. Was this just a really weird, isolated attempt by two guys who made some terrible decisions?
No.
Or does it point to something bigger? A potential vulnerability in the system that needs fixing to protect, well, everything from election integrity to basic identity security. It's definitely a story that makes you think far beyond just Rhaegar.
It really does. It's a compelling case study, if you like, on the complexities of identity, security, and just how vigilant we need to be about the systems we depend on.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the very unexpected goings-on in Rhaegar. I think the key takeaway is just how easily a routine check can suddenly uncover something so complex and, frankly, so strange.
Yeah, the layers are fascinating.
It really highlights that ongoing need for scrutiny, for thinking critically about the processes that are supposed to guarantee things like who gets to vote, who gets a bank account. And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it, what other systems that maybe seem totally mundane and secure might actually be vulnerable to these kinds of, well, audacious attempts to manipulate them.
Mhm.
Definitely some food for thought there.